All right, we're recording. Now any additional comments will be captured for posterity. All right, this is the production readiness review sub-project meeting for whatever the date is, January 8th. Great, let me pull up my agenda and share my screen. All right. All right, welcome everybody. Welcome, Happy New Year. Welcome back. Ready to get started on this and make some progress. I hope this cycle will really get the ball rolling. So looks like we don't have a number of the people. And so I think after this call, I'm gonna go start pinging everybody on Slack and get them to come back for next and maybe get their tasks accomplished for next meeting. But this will probably be a short one unless other people have stuff to talk about. But basically, one thing that's come up is in the next couple weeks, we have to decide whether we want to have a session at Amsterdam, not the contributor summit, but the main conference. I personally don't think we need to, but if there's somebody who's burning to talk about this with a larger group, then we need to let the CNCF know before the 20th that we want to have a sub-project session for production readiness. So if anybody does want to do that, then please speak up or put it in the agenda. Status on current items. So I was gone for the last 2 weeks, just came back 2 days ago. So I have no status other than I started pinging people again. I think we need to come up, and maybe we'll have a little general discussion here in a moment about coming up with concrete deadlines for some of the items, because I think people got busy with KubeCon and the holidays, and a lot of things slipped. So I want to make sure that we can make more progress in this coming cycle.
I have one question about status. There was the research survey, and there's a draft on it. I didn't want to comment on the draft because I have forgotten whether it was open for comment or whether it was closed. Am I good to comment on it?
Which survey was this? The survey for
the survey to take up to the CNCF Dublin PRR, that link there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely comment away. Okay. So we don't have either of the two people here today that are kind of running that. And you know, frankly, Jorge is release lead. I kind of expect he won't have time for this. So we'll have to talk to Valerie and see if she has time. But basically, I mean, he hasn't told me that, but I'm just surmising that given all the duties he's going to have as release lead, this won't be his top priority. So comment away. Let's get this to a state that we can start taking it to people. And like I said, I think we wanted to do two different surveys. One that's sort of just a form that gets blasted out, broadcast style, and then I think it's valuable to actually approach specific people and interview them that people know and that they might be able to, or somehow recruit people to have interviews with, as opposed to just a blast on a forum.
Okay. All right. So I started reading through, and I was trying to put myself in the head of someone taking this survey. And I wasn't sure whether there were general like survey advice things like, don't exceed 8 questions, or whether it was,
right.
I don't know if there's general advice like that. Do you?
I don't know either. But I think that for me, just glancing at this, like I want, and maybe they were just putting down questions, but I want, as somebody who's answering something like this, I want to know what's in it for me. So like we need a preamble. I mean, this won't be the survey as it goes out, but I'd like
Yeah.
to
No,
also.
I mean, I'm looking at it saying like I take surveys, and the chances of me filling in more than one free-form text field are like not quite zero, but darn close.
Right. Like let's make it as easy as possible to click, 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 and not have to enter a bunch of
Yeah.
text.
Okay.
I
All
agree.
right.
That makes sense to me. Yeah. Anything we can do to increase the response rate, which includes sort of motivating like what's in it for me, and also making it quick and easy, for
Okay.
sure. Yeah. All of this is, come on, man. We're open
Yep.
source. Everybody can comment on everything.
Yeah. No, I know. I will think about how much I want to mark up. I think I might have maybe less confidence in the people who would answer this survey than these questions suggest. But I will, before next time, I will come up with either some alternatives or some questions to
Okay.
add comment.
And I think it's a valid thing to David to just sort of say, well, like, let's evaluate. Let's go back right after we read the questions. Go back and say, okay, what exactly are we trying to learn? Like, what are the decisions or changes in our process or our set of questions that we're going to make as a result of responses to these questions? And if a question doesn't inform that, it's probably not a useful question.
Okay. Yeah, that's sort of where my head's at. So like a question like, what is your decision-making process when using beta features in Kubernetes? I don't think I'd expect to get a meaningful answer, but a question like, have you ever had to disable a beta feature? Have you ever had to disable a GA feature?
Right.
I'm interested in the answers to both of those questions.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Okay. All right. Then where were we? So any other status on any of these postmortem effectiveness measures are people who aren't here, but if anybody else has comments. Otherwise, I'd want to open up the discussion and just say like, what do we want to target having? Like, so my original target was that we'd pilot in 117 and then in 118 we'd start to put a process in place that people actually have to go through this. I don't have confidence that we've learned enough in the handful of things we did in 117. That's my personal opinion. I would rather continue, or certainly not to put any kind of blocking. I mean, I guess it's just answering questions. It's not that hard, but I don't know. What are your thoughts, folks?
So my feeling is that like we definitely are not ready to make it blocking or something, but maybe just asking, like maybe just putting this into template and asking people to start filling that, maybe what will give us more feedback, or like we will learn more which questions are maybe not the ones that people really know how to answer, or maybe we will not learn much like if we miss something specific, but we will at least get some feedback on the questions that we have there.
Okay. So one of the things I'm likely to be, I think I'm going to be involved in the enhancements, the release team enhancements process. So I'm going to actually use that as an opportunity to reach out to each of these people and sort of, I think that, unless it's a mandatory thing, we're going to get better results by, I don't know, like setting up meetings with people if we have to in order to go through them, because it's just hard to get people to do it in a timely fashion otherwise. So
yeah, it is. I will say that, I mean, you saw the PR that I made trying to answer these questions. I think that there are some lessons to be learned from that about trying to break it into which ones of these do you need to answer to move to your current phase. And I think that edits for things like that will make it easier when you try to make use of this.
Okay.
I think the link to my PR is down there somewhere.
Yeah, I think we also tweaked a bunch of questions in the meantime.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't gone back and looked.
Maybe not everything. Like I think it was before I've seen your PR, but after like the questions already changed comparing to what you were answering.
Okay, sorry. I
Yeah,
don't have time to go through this week, but remind me next week that I said I would do it after the next meeting, and I'll go back through and I'll do it again.
Yeah, Wojciech went through and based on the people he went through it with, and I just did a number of updates. I think that probably did improve it quite a bit. So,
okay.
I think we are still not exactly where we would like to be, but I think it's at least better than it used to be when you were answering the questions.
Okay. I would also wonder whether one of our outcomes from this that we'd like to have is finding a way to systematically enforce things like you added a feature, give me a metric, and somehow enforce that like they actually make the metric is present, and CI just won't let it graduate in some way. I don't know how to do that, but is that something that we want? So, metric is one of my big problems.
Right. So one of the ways we can do that is sort of a half measure of when you can't do it fully programmatically is we can, we can put some CI in place that requires them to say, add the metric name to some file, right? And then that has to be approved by, we have to see that file having changed, or something like that as part of the graduation process. And that has to be approved by somebody on the instrumentation,
At a higher level, do you guys face similar problems where I've got a lot of clusters? I'm trying to figure out whether this feature is working correctly, and I don't have a metric to go see like, oh, you're hot looping.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So if multiple of us have that issue, then it'll be worth thinking about. I wanted to make sure that was the case before I went down.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, each of these, so like there's answering the questions, and then there's the review process of how we promote things, and if they've answered the question in a way that's not acceptable, how do we ensure that they don't get promoted and they haven't implemented something, whatever, So outcome, I think your point was outcomes beyond just process, but also in some sort of enforceable CI, and I agree that's ultimately the goal. To understand how to do that.
Okay.
I'm taking notes under your name, so if you want,
that's fine. Enforcement in CI is desirable. How about David doesn't have a way to do it yet, but it is desirable.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, I don't have anything else today. What I'm going to do, my plan, I'm going to go through each item and follow up with people who said they would own them and give them grief, and then I'm going to talk to some folks, the SRE team here, and see if I can get somebody involved there as well. And that's kind of my plan for the coming week, as well as trying to put together an actual sit-down call with some of the KEP reviews I want to do, since I'm not seeing it happen without maybe a little more pressure.
Okay. Next week, I would like to talk about that survey. So if sometime in the intervening week, I guess all of us here are fairly dedicated, but if we could have a look through the survey, think about whether it's asking the things that we want answers to. Because I would like to be able to see survey results before devoting too much effort to various initiatives.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to put down what I said, ensure that the questions, that the answers to the questions will actually affect our process and questionnaire. Otherwise, the question is useless. Make sure the questions are easily answered and not too open-ended. I think open-ended things can go for the interviews if like we have some particularly heavyweight users that we think have.
Yeah, I mean, you will occasionally find a user who is heavily invested and wants to provide you enough information to help you help them. But
Exactly.
I don't think I would consider that to be the common case of an email blast.
Got it. Yep. Agreed. All right. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Bye, guys.
I guess too.